How can you be oppressed but you live in the UK makes zero sense. It's definitely a victim mindset. That's what I'm saying, fam. Now, maybe back in the 50s and 60s when my Jamaican people came over, yeah, they experienced oppression. They experienced racism. No blacks, no Irish, no dogs on the pubs and that. And allegedly, like when you go into the toilets, you've got the cubicles where you get me, you can sit down and do your business. The doors are really high, so people can't see you. So you've got privacy. I saw a photo of back in the day. Obviously, the whites and that they had privacy when they went to go and use the toilet. They had the high doors so no one could see them. But the coloured people, black people, they didn't have as much privacy. The doors were really low down to the point where when a man's sitting on the toilet, everyone and anyone can see them. Yeah. That's obviously trying to emasculate them and shame them and that. Not giving them no privacy, not treating them like they're an equal, treating them like they're a subpar, second-class citizen and that. But that was back then, in the 50s and 60s and that. Yeah, things were hard, things were rough. But nowadays, like, I wasn't born in the 80s, but I'm confident to say, like, definitely the 90s onwards and that, there was no black oppression, racism wasn't like that. Today, there is still racist people and that. But all of this systemic racism and that is bullshit. Nonsense. Do you know why certain people want there to be allegedly systemic racism and that? It's an excuse for failure. Let me tell you something right now. 95% of people walking planet Earth are failing or failures right now, regardless of their color of skin. But certain people that look like me, they want to use the color of their skin as to why they're failing. It's not. I'm telling you, if you apply yourself, if you put in the work, if you make sacrifice, if you don't become a consumer, you can make something of yourself. You can be successful. There are opportunities, especially in countries like England, America, probably Germany and Holland and that. You can make something of yourself. But people want to try and attribute the fact that they're lazy and they don't want to put in the work and the effort and that. They want to attribute that to, it must be because of systemic racism. Mentioned this plenty of times, when I mention this again. There was one on one podcast, they were talking about racism and systemic racism and all this crap. And the youth was saying, I was working at TGI Fridays for 6 years. I never got promoted to a manager. But the people them that didn't look like me, they came after me, like, they've been working there a few months and they got promoted to manager and that. And he's saying that it's racism. I'm thinking to myself, like, it's not racism. Maybe you just weren't fit to be a manager. You ever thought about that? Maybe you just weren't qualified to be a manager. Maybe you didn't have the personality traits to be a manager. Man want to be turning up to work 10 minutes late every day, want to be the first man out the door, don't want to work overtime. Fam, that's not the qualities of being a manager. If you want to be a manager, you got to be the first man in the door, last man out of the door. You got to be willing to work overtime. You got to be willing to work overtime for free. You got to be willing to, let's say when you get promoted to manager, cut these friendship ties that you had with your work colleagues and potentially fire them if they're not pulling their weight. If you're not willing to, when you become a manager, if you're not willing to fire your former work colleagues because they're not pulling their weight, but then you're not management material. This is what comes with it. Everyone wants an excuse for not making something of themselves. Oh, the reason why I'm not successful in that is because some sort of depression and that. It's bullshit. I don't believe in no oppression, no black oppression, nothing. Yeah? No depression, nothing. Man, there's someone, I ain't going to mention their name, but a YouTuber was moaning for years talking about YouTube shadow ban. And then when their subscriber account rose up and they had a little viral moment and that, and they started to get a bit bigger and that, I didn't hear them talk about YouTube shadow ban and that. They were talking about YouTube shadow ban because it's an excuse for them not having a popping YouTube channel. My thing is not popping on YouTube. My thing is not popping on TikTok. Well, TikTok's doing way better than YouTube, but it still ain't what it's supposed to be. My girlfriend reminds me of that all the time. She's like, Jay, man, why the hell, you got these people with these dumb TikTok accounts and that don't help nobody, but your thing's not popping and that, innit? I don't know why my thing's not popping, but I'm definitely not going to put it down to no sort of social media shadow ban. No way. I don't make excuses. So all of this black oppression, systemic racism, and that depression, YouTube shadow ban, it's all an excuse for not getting the results that they want. So there ain't no systemic racism, man. Maybe back in the day, not nowadays, man. You could be anything you want. You put the fucking hard work in. My girl's a Ross Clark mortgage broker, and nowhere on their applications asks you what your race is. They don't even give a damn about what sort of job you do, as long as you're employed. As long as you're willing to put in the hard work and that, you can buy a property, you can buy multiple properties and become financially free. Even if you're a Ross Clark bin man, you can work at Asda. Don't think you need to just be an electrician or a tradesperson or a doctor or a lawyer to become a multiple property owner. Fucking my girl done a mortgage for a girl who was doing videos on TikTok. The girl's on, a few £1,000s a month and that. She was able to buy a property from social media. Imagine sitting in your yard thinking, blood, like what I do on the camera. And she said it's some bullshit as well, like some kind of emo business, the girl, some shit that people that watch me wouldn't watch, yeah? Imagine that sitting in your yard thinking, you know what, I got this house, I acquired this yard, just doing what I like to do on TikTok, getting paid from social media and that. So anyone can make it. It don't matter what sort of environment you come from. It don't matter if you come from the bottom. Me, I come from the fucking bottom. Grew up in a good home, but come from a poor home, a good home. But man didn't have things like that. Like some kids, they get a new pair of trainers every month or two. Nah, not in my household. Certain kids, they go on holiday every year, once a year. I didn't go on holiday for the first time. I didn't leave the country for the first time until I was 13 years old. So if I can come from the bottom and make it, so can you. Plus, most of you lot didn't mess up your lives. You lot don't even have criminal records like that. I've been to jail. Man's done the whole road thing. Most of you lot watching this right now will not have the experience of you and 20 of your mans them getting on a bus and going that direction, or getting on a bus and going that other opposite direction. You and your mans them don't know about jumping in a cab. There's 8 of you, but you're in a 7-seater cab. Certain men are sitting on top of each other's laps to go over there and do something you're not supposed to do. You might not know about, something just happened, boy, and man are scared to leave their house because, you get me, man might be at large to the Jakes and that, they're looking for us. So I come from all of that and been able to make something of myself. So if you ain't done none of that, and you ain't experienced no prison, you ain't been stabbed, you ain't been rushed, you ain't been on no ride outs, nothing. You ain't had the police lick off your door bare times. Man had the police come for me when I wasn't even on road. I told you lot already, I was in prison during the London riots. So most of you lot was about during the London riots. Whether you participated or not, you lot was on road. I weren't about. I was in prison during the London riots, and the police licked off my door. I'm there thinking, when my mum told me that the police came to the yard once I got released a few weeks after the London riots ended, I'm thinking that they went to my house thinking that I was involved. Nah, they're all looking for me because they had intelligence. That man was trying to make some money and that. So most of you lot ain't experienced none of that. You lot ain't been on the run. You ain't cut off your tag and gone country OT. Yeah, the reason why you cut off the tag because you didn't want the police to track you down via GPS and that, to bag you whilst you're trying to make money in OT. So you can get hold of things to go and, yeah. That's all I'm going to say, innit? So there ain't no such thing in this fucking black oppression, man. Maybe back in the day, not nowadays, man.